sponsor My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below. And seeing as this is 3MB, we are proudly sponsored by VMB Auto Centres at Handsworth. They're still offering that amazing deal of 50% off your MOT when you let them know that you're a Rambler. Thank you to VMB Auto Centres for their continued support.
Hey, subscribe to Blaze Ramble, man.
What is happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and I am just going to check my mic's working. Yes, it is. How are we all doing? Hope you're good. We are back. Thank you for joining us at this awkward sort of time. It's not awkward, but it's an unfamiliar time. We usually like to go on Sundays around 7 o'clock. I think in the new season, just because of the way we're sort of rejigging our content, it'll be Mondays at 7 o'clock if the boys can still accommodate that. Because we're moving 90 after 90 to a day after the game. We're going to do an immediate match reaction instead and then have a proper deep dive on the game with a call-in the day after. So that'll sort of nudge everything around a little bit. So it won't be Tuesdays at 7:30, ongoing, but it's the summertime and as Will Smith used to say, summer, I don't know where we're going to go with that. If I can hear him laughing in the background. But hope you're all good. Let's get straight into the intros of my pals. First up, it's Paul the Man Mountain.
This is the view from the mountain.
What's that up to?
With a heart so pure it's astounding. Man Mountain, strong and true. What a man, what a view.
Hey up, mate. I know that song really well as well, and I couldn't think of it then as soon as I mentioned it. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, very good. Very good, thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Showing up your England top.
Shake the room.
No, it wasn't. It was summertime, weren't it?
Yeah, summertime, was it?
Yeah, what words to summertime? It's going to drive me mad now. Come on, you know it.
Let's just sit back and unwind.
Yes, thank you. Time to sit back and unwind. Yeah, okay.
The basketball courts, you need some new sneakers because there's girls there. All that malarkey.
2 miles an hour so everybody sees you and all that. I'd need to listen to it again before I get... Anyway.
Before you start trying to reference it on screen, I'd have a listen to it.
I usually rely on my core memory for these sort of things and it's not happening. So,
from what I've heard, it's been building it.
Mate, you know it. You know it. S20 Finn McNamara.
Straight out of here.
Too right. Yeah. From there into there. Right. A man who definitely knows all the words to summertime because he knows everything. It's Dave the Nose.
Dave the Nose, he really knows where the wind, I know whispers blow. Smelly brain, he's in the know. Dave the Nose steals the show.
Davey boy, how's it going?
What has this descended into?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. But please subscribe because we're about 37 away from 12k. So that would be incredible if people could.
Dave's nose is the same colour as his cell look. Like it. Same colour as his wallpaper.
Does he sell?
I didn't sell.
It looks like a
For
cell.
you two.
Time to sit back and unwind, boys. How's it going? You're right, Davey boy. Look, we were going to go last night, but Dave was schmoozing with his pals and colleagues. How's the hangover, Dave?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
I
of
was
course not.
thoroughly professional at all times.
Absolutely right. So you recovered then, okay? Yeah.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll go with that then. Okay, lads. So since we last got together, the big news, look, things have been quite slow at United in terms of transfers and even rumours and stuff like that. There's been the odd little bits that we've covered on the channel. And we will definitely get to moves that other clubs are making because Southampton and Wolves in particular are starting to make some noises. But in terms of Sheffield United news, the big one that we haven't yet covered between us is the departure of Alan Knill. Now, this came out 3-4 days ago, and it was conflicting reports that Alan Knill's set to leave and obviously won't return now to his duties as assistant manager at Sheffield United. And there was conflicting reports as to who was responsible. And I think that's the overriding concern that fans have got. It's the ambiguity of it in terms of who. There's no communication from the club, and we need to know about who's made this call, because some people are blaming the owners. I think Danny Hall came out and said it was not a manager's decision. Rob Staten from Radio Sheffield then came out and said it was a club decision, so intimating that there was wider involvement than just the owners. And there's not really been much clarity from there. Danny Hall's doubled down on it, saying he doesn't believe it was a Chris Wilder decision. Who wants to go first on what they believe the case to be, on how you feel about everything? Paul, then. Paul.
Well, he's been a very loyal servant. Obviously, he was credited with quite a lot of really positive things, especially early on in Wilder's success. So I think these things are there to be speculated on, aren't they? I mean, we don't know. I'm sure Chris will address it, because someone will ask him in his next press conference, and that'll be how that plays out. I doubt Chris would want to rock the boat. It feels like it would have been hopefully a mutual decision. I'd like to think it is a mutual decision.
When you say mutual, you mean between the club and Alan Knill?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'd like to think that he's gone out on his terms a little bit. But if not, it's evolution, isn't it? And I said to you when we spoke about it briefly, Alex Ferguson had some of the most successful assistant managers that the English Football League has ever seen, and they were shown the door sort of every 3 or 4 years, weren't they? Because he wanted fresh ideas in the building, he wanted new things to come in and happen.
Yeah, he didn't do bad, did he, Fergie?
No, and I'd be really shocked if it was enforced by the board against Wilder's wishes. I'd say that would be a surprise.
I don't think that's happened,
and I don't think that's personally. I'd like to think that's not the case, but anything's possible, isn't it? It could be that the club want to move in a new direction with Wilder, with a new coach involved. I'd like to think that Wilder and Knill and Steve Bettis and the board have made the decision together, and but it's all there for people to write about and for people to talk about. And I think Wilder will probably address it fairly quickly, and hopefully it's not what some people are saying and an enforced decision by the board, because their decisions don't hold an awful lot of weight at the moment with the fans, and I'm hopeful that it's mutual.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think we have to balance it out as well, and there's a lot of similar reports coming out that Wilder had to convince him to come back in this time because he was just about ready to wind down as well. So that's not been confirmed, but these are all sorts of speculative comments that are there. Some people have commented on him being ready to retire for some time. Won't be surprised if he went into like the Wales setup on a part-time basis or something like that, just to sort of see his career out now. It's up to Alan Knill. If he still wants to go again, then he can do. If it's not been a decision that he's made.
His reputation, mate, says that he'll have a choice. For me, even if he leaves Sheffield United, there'll be other clubs queuing to take him on if that's what he wants to do. He's a bit older than Wilder. I think, didn't Wilder start out as his assistant back in the day? So he's a bit older. He's getting to that time where he probably wants to enjoy his success as a professional football coach who's probably done quite well for himself, and hopefully that's the case, and he can enjoy his retirement.
I think it's, if he continues in the game, even if it's like League One, League Two level, to not have as much sort of demand on him, it'd be a real coup for a club that's going in another direction with a younger coach. To have an experienced head like him around, I think it'd be a real smart move for somebody who, you see all these younger sort of ex-players being appointed now and stuff like that, but Knilly coming in alongside somebody like that would be a real smart move. Dave, what's your initial thoughts on this as a move or as a circumstance?
I've got a bit hard, I think. If the board have moved and Wilder's had no say in it, I think it's appalling. I think it's appalling for a multitude of reasons. I think that it's for what Knilly's done for the club shouldn't be forgotten. But more importantly, how it undermines the manager in terms of taking somebody not only just out of his team, but such a key part of that circle around him. I'd be shocked if it's the case, but I think it'd be appalling if it is.
See, this is why people want clarity from the club, and with stuff like this, it's always very delicate anyway. So it's very hard to get that. But without this clarity as to who's made the decision, and one outlet reporting one thing and another saying the opposite, it leads to speculation, like Dave's just said, where if it is a board, you've got room for error in terms of your speculation. So it's laying seeds of doubt in the board's relationship with the manager and things like that. So it's not great optics for me.
We never learn. We never learn. We do these things before.
But Dave, if you want to make this change, if Wilder is behind this decision, which he could well be, how else do you do it? How can we have got away with this without looking bad? Really?
Well, not leaving it this long by. If it's got that to that level where local press, respected local press, are reporting it, and they're reporting, two sides of the coin in terms of why it's happened.
That's where the fans suffer, because they can't have a clear vision of what's going on at the club, and it's not been communicated.
I'm not saying that we necessarily have the right to know these things, but I think, out of respect for Knilly, when it's going against this point, put something out there. If stuff's leaking out like this, they've got to get a handle on it. It's not right that it's getting to this stage, and they've made those decisions, and it gets just.
It leaves a bitter taste, doesn't it? It's one of those that I have, a little bit like you said, Dave. I've been a strong advocate of. They don't owe us anything. We would like the owners to come out and communicate with us more, but they don't have to do that. And there's nowhere written that says you must, inform the fans of your next steps and all this sort of thing. But I certainly think they're missing a trick by not doing that more. But with decisions like this, it's leaving that uncertainty around it, because we don't need to know who's pushed the button. But even if it's been a decision made for Alan Knill, it can still be badged up as Alan Knill steps back from his role, and then he gets to give a message to the fans, and even if it's just not even a lap of appreciation on first game at season or first pre-season friendly, even if it's just a post on social media that Knilly's written himself, give him that respect that he has earned at the club. It's very rare that you understand the impact that somebody has on the club when they're a member of the backroom team. It's always either the manager is front and centre, and sort of his reputation lives and dies by how the team performs, and then the rest of the team are like amalgamated into the manager's reputation, really, I would say. But we all know, or we've certainly got a good grasp of the impact that Alan Knill's had on our football club, and they could have just badged it, whether it's his decision or theirs, or whether it's the board's decision or Wilder's. I've got to think it's a Wilder involvement somewhere, because everything breaks down if it's not. But just let Knilly be the one to announce it, or the club announce it through Knilly's words, and that then sort of, there's none of this. It's going back. I cannot believe how some of these huge organisations, it's like the EFL with the whole Spygate nonsense. If they'd have come out and said Middlesbrough, Southampton forfeit the game to Middlesbrough, and they reverse the fixture to a 3-0, then Middlesbrough automatically qualify for the final. It's the same outcome with a much better way of framing everything, and no one can really argue. But what they did was they said Southampton are out, and then it left an open speculation for Hull. Should they be automatically promoted now because Borough have already lost and Borough don't deserve to? No, because if you reverse the fixture, whether people agree with that or not, that's the decision that's been made, so Borough automatically qualify for the final, if that's the way you want to go about it. If you're going to make a decision to move a long-standing member of staff who means an awful lot to the fans, the club, the manager, I'm sure the players as well, give him the courtesy. As a club, I'm not blaming the owners, I'm not blaming Wilder, I just think collectively we need to get better at this because we've got a manager who has spent the best, an assistant manager who spent the best part of 10 years with our club, who is going to leave under a bit of a cloud, not a cloud of any sort of negativity, but just with no real fanfare. We've seen it with players that have left that don't really get the send-off that they deserve. This is an opportunity missed, really, again for me by the club, and I just think it's a little bit, it's naive at best, and it's pretty poor at worst. So I don't know, lads. I don't know. But
I'm not sure I fully agree.
Okay.
Well, nearly in all the time that I have been a Unitedite and he's worked for the club, has never done an interview, as far as I can remember.
He has, yeah. He has done a few. Very, very rarely. He doesn't do it often.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
It must be in a circumstance. Maybe I have seen him do one or two post game maybe, but I don't really think it's in most organisations. Sorry, the lighting. In most organisations, you don't get to find out, and it might be on Knill's wishes not to make any statement. It might be because I don't see him as a real someone who needs to be on a camera or a really public figure in the club. I think I just don't. And also, we don't know the circumstances. If Wilder will let on when he gets asked the question, we'll know a lot more about it. And until that happens, mate, I just feel like we're going to be, the club's done this, the club's done that. I don't know whether we just feel like we should know all these things. These are staff members, aren't they, at the end of the day?
I don't think we should know. It's not about knowing what the decision is, because we'll never know that. We'll never know whether Wilder was heavily involved, lightly involved, not involved, unless Wilder comes out and tells us. That's the only way we're going to find out about that. It's more about paying respect to him, whether he wants to, or it can be as little fanfare or a big video package. It can be as big or little as or even just a note on the website that he's going to be leaving, because it's an announcement whether he wants his name out there or not.
It might happen. It might happen anyway. So it still might happen.
It will. I'm sure it will.
I'm sure everybody's on their holidays. This is when everybody's on their holidays, isn't it?
Trouble is the horse has bolted, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dave, are we just trying to find a problem?
Because I don't normally get too passionate about things like this. I'm normally quite.
You can be your level, aren't you?
Yeah, but I think the optics are really bad for the club.
I agree.
I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to wait and see what Wilder says. It might be part of Knilly's wishes not to go with any fanfare.
Yeah, well, you can have no fanfare, but you can still make the optics better than
the guy that's doing the videos and the media and the other stuff. Probably on their holiday, or there's probably something to do. It's probably that. I wouldn't say. We'll know more if Wilder's got a problem with how it's gone down. We'll find out, because he will not. He can tell us a load of porkies about his teams and other bits and bobs. But when it comes
by his face, can't you? You can tell.
Yeah, you'll be able to tell straight away, and then we can sort of pick it up as a topic. Until then, I think we should be looking forwards. I think we should be optimistic. Okay, we don't know the full story just yet, and yes, we can be outraged later. I think we should be showed respect. It should be on his terms. It should be the way that I spoke before. But I don't think we need to get in this. The club's made a massive error.
No, I agree with you. I agree.
We don't know what it is just yet, and I think going down that path of if it is that, then I'm going to be outraged. And well, let's wait and find out what it is, and then we'll see, because we will find out. I'm sure we will. If he's gone from under Wilder's nose, he'll let on that that's happened, and then we can go, the board's made an error. But until then, let's just see how it pans out. It's been in the paper. They might not have wanted it in the paper yet. I don't know.
This is what a lot of fans are talking about, and it's sort of splitting opinion. So if we didn't cover it, then it's something that people would be asking us anyway. And I think it's necessary to cover it, but I didn't want to spend a long time on it. So I think it's right that we sort of pause there in terms of that, because it is speculative. We don't know what's happened. There is a chance that it is amicable all ways round as well. That is another option in this scenario. So my next question to you boys is, it's happening anyway, whether we like the way it's happened or not. Are you how do you feel about this as a change? Do you see? Have you got real optimism around it? Do you think it's whether you feel it's been a decision that's been taken by everybody or a couple of people or whatever? It's an opportunity now, surely, isn't it, for somebody to come in? Phil Jones has been linked. I haven't seen many people get too excited about that, but it's very difficult. And we've sort of briefly touched on this, and I've touched on it in previous videos as well. How do you know what sort of an impact somebody's having behind the scenes when we've no idea? It's not like you get to see them perform on a pitch and you can make your own judgment on how they do for the club. We don't know what any of our backroom staff are bringing to the table other than their job title and loosely how. So fitness sports scientists, we judge them on how fit and available the players are, but we don't know how those individuals are performing in their roles. So you hear a name like Phil Jones, it sometimes gets a little bit of, oh, I'm not sure about that. But Phil Jones might be seen in a lot of inner circles as one of the next upcoming coaches in the game for all we know. So any thoughts on the vacancy that it creates? Do you think, would you like to see an internal staff member step up, whether it's Mickey Collins or Matt Prestridge or somebody like that? There's murmurings of some fans wanting Sheffield United legends like Billy Sharp and or Chris Basham involved. I think there's already been some squashed on Billy Sharp coming back at this moment in time. What are your thoughts? Who wants to go first? We'll go Dave.
I'd like some experience, I think, into that role ideally, but it's about the team, isn't it? And it's about what Wilder thinks. You know, he needs in and around him, but it feels very risky bringing someone into that position who's got no real coaching experience, let alone, you know, assistant manager sort of level. I don't know enough internally to say. You know, you always want to see teams promote from within, especially if there's a bit of a long-term strategy post Wilder, because it's something we've all spoken about, and maybe there's a degree of saying, like, maybe we put somebody into that position who can grow into being the eventual successor when Chris has decided he wants to move on.
I can't remember whether it were on this show or another one that we've done or one that I've done. I'm all over the place sometimes, but Conor Houriham were a name that we mentioned, who was just left Barnsley as manager. Had an okay stint, and he's seen another one that seemed to be a really good up-and-coming coach. Would something like that potentially whet your appetite a little bit, as him coming in as a young assistant manager, previously managed, and then learning from Wilder as a view to being in line for the throne one day? Yeah,
potentially. Again, it's so difficult, isn't it? You know,
yeah. It's
not like you know, you can spot a player and say, oh, you know, I like them, I like those attributes they've got. You can see where they fit in. I think when you're talking about coaching and management, we don't see what these guys are like on the sidelines, or what they're like on the training pitch, and how they get their messages across and that kind of thing. So I think it's almost impossible for us to pick out who we want, but I certainly think we need somebody. Whoever comes in is going to bring fresh ideas, but I'd like someone to come in who's just got that little bit of understanding, a little bit of experience, that confidence that comes with really experience as well, in terms of how you deliver things. And
I'm really interested because him and Knill are two experienced heads. So does Wilder need experience, or does he need like innovative, fresh ideas? So it's Paul, what's your thoughts on it, mate?
I don't think there's any judgment from me from a player like Phil. I mean, I don't know what people would get excited about if he's got very nominal experience. Is it because we thought he wasn't quite the level for Man United, and therefore we judge him straight away on that basis? No. Because to me, they're two completely different things. He'll have confidence. That's one thing, because he's been at one of the biggest clubs in the world for most of his career. All of his career? Is it all of his career?
Blackburn.
Yeah, Blackburn as well, right? No, Manchester United as a player. So he'll have worked
under Blackburn first, and then he went to Man U.
Blackburn and Man U, right? So he's been at two big clubs, one being one of the biggest in the world, and he's worked under some of the best coaches. Again, that doesn't make him a top coach. It will have an air of confidence about him. He's played at a higher level than most of our squad. So he should command some respect on that basis. But again, you can have the best coach could be from non-league or somewhere else. It's to me, it's not really a fair yardstick as to how good they're going to be at their job. I think sometimes as well. I'm a teacher, mate, so I've seen people who've been in their job for a long time who are doing. I'm not saying going through the motions. I'm not pointing fingers at any of my colleagues, and when I say that,
wow,
that's true. No, it's true. And there's some teachers who've been teaching for 10 minutes who are absolutely spot on, brilliant. Absolutely, all the new ideas, great personalities, superb at the job, and yeah, I don't see a problem in freshening things up. I think it's a normal evolution at a football club to do that. If you're going to keep a manager, I think it might show the manager a few new ideas and ways of approaching things. And he's certainly been at a club where he can draw on a lot of examples, I'm sure, of world class operators who he's worked under. And again, a lot of it's personality as well. Will he be able to get along with the players, get the messages across? There's no reason why he wouldn't be able to do that. So I don't think it's I don't think we can go off Phil Jones. He's a load of rubbish, because certainly he might be the best thing since sliced bread. We didn't really know what we had with Keith Andrews, did we? When he was there, when he came in, he didn't come with any real fanfare. We knew him as a player.
Great shout.
He left us. We were like, okay. Not the end of the world. And now he's doing a brilliant job as a manager in the Premier League. And you have to say it was an outstanding job considering it was his first position. So clearly a talented guy. But yeah, I'm not too upset about it. I'll be honest. I don't think it's the end of the world. I'd like Alan Knill to leave with the respect he deserves, and like Dave said. But I'm just going to wait to see what comes out in the wash before I start chucking things about, and I'd like the club to make decisions. I want to support a team that is willing to make a decision about things that are going on. And I know the board aren't necessarily in every fan's good books because of what happened at the start of the season. It did derail our season, and they know that, and they've come out and put their hands up. And I would be really shocked if Wilder said, I don't want him to go. I'd be really shocked if Knilly was stood there going, I want to stay, and they go, no, we're pulling the trigger and putting this guy in. I'd be really surprised if that was the case. And I'd be what Dave's saying. I think it would be a poor move, but I'm just waiting to see what comes out.
Yeah, me too. It'll be interesting to see how that develops, whether we go domestic, which I think is most likely, but there's also a chance we can dip into an unknown coach, or certainly somebody of a different nationality, to tap into different knowledge bases and things like that, because you can't think that Chris Wilder's got an incredible contact list in the game. He's embedded in the domestic game, as we all know. He knows everybody from the Premier League down to League One, League Two, and probably beyond. So does a new coach with a new contact list that's played abroad or been abroad or whatever it might be, does that change things in terms of how we operate as a club? I'm not sure. Dave, you sort of wincing at that?
No, I just think it's the thing. Let's not underestimate how important it is that he gels with Wilder. We're talking about an assistant manager here. I think some of the points Paul make are fabulous points, but I think we can get them from somebody coming in as a first team coach and bringing those ideas. I think this is the trust that goes between the manager and the assistant. They have to be on the same page. They have to be pulling in the same direction. If we've got two people in that role that don't see eye to eye, it's just going to be it's chaos within the club, and it'll just tear itself apart.
It's really interesting. It's a big move this for Sheffield United, and it, from the outside looking in, it might not appear so, but I think it sort of sets the whole tone for our future. Really, certainly the short term.
How many times do the clubs hire managers and they bring their own backroom staff?
Yeah,
nine.
So they come as teams now, don't they? Yeah,
it's a package, and it's a unit that's built up trust and ways of working, and that sort of ethos of how they want the team to be, not just how they want to play on the pitch, but how they want to look after themselves off it, what their expectations are, what the culture is. You don't just pick people out and go, well, they've done something and we think they're all right somewhere else, and expect to, parachute them in with and expect that, there's much more to it than that.
Well, there's Ramos is said to be leaving into the Spanish coach that we brought in, or Portuguese. Apologies, I'm not entirely sure on his nationality, but that immediately says he's not gelled quite well with the coaching staff, or it's not working for whatever reason, or it's not suiting one or more parties. So it leans into your point of they have to all click, and it makes you wonder whether it might be an internal reshuffle, a Gary McSheffrey, a Del Geary maybe, something like that. Anyway, again, we're back into the realms of wide speculation. I wanted to shift the conversation on just a little bit before we jump into the comments. And there's a few rumours swirling around Sheffield United, but it's a lot of the same names that we've talked about already, so we're not going to do those to death. Kyle Walker, Calvin Phillips, a couple of names that are also in the ether as potential replacements if they don't go through. But are you starting to get a little bit fidgety about the lack of noise coming out? You wouldn't expect a lot of deals to go through, but then you look at other sides in the league. Southampton have confirmed the signing of Peretz, the goalkeeper, who is a top quality goalkeeper at the level. They've confirmed the signing of Kyle Larin as well. And probably the best of the bunch, George Long, they've signed permanently today, or yesterday. So that they are now a fearsome outfit at the level. But all joking aside, those first two signings are first teamers in the Championship that performed really well for them last season. Made them permanent signings now, put a lot of money down to get them. Wolves, oh my word, Wolves. Wolves, Kieran Trippier, who is 34, 35, signed a 2-year deal, plus one apparently, from some research that Lee were doing. But either way, it's a strong investment. It's a statement of intent from Wolves. And then today, Raul Jimenez, who at this level, I don't care if he's 35, he could be 40 and still do a job at this level for me. I think he's a bit of a... Well, he levels them up again, and it's probably a signing they'd have made if they'd have stayed up in the Premier League. So that goes to show what kind of a good signing he is for Championship level. Are we getting a little bit squeaky about what other clubs are doing at the minute, or are we sort of looking across with a bit of green envy, Dave?
Those are two really, really good deals on paper, aren't they, Wolves? And it's difficult to not look across at that and think, aye, they're looking.
One gone.
I guess the likelihood for us is that we need to see some movement out before we start to see a lot of movement coming in, I guess. So no, I'm not. I did expect, and I think I said this, was it last week or the week before, that I thought we'd have. I can't remember if I said 1 or 2 in before the World Cup started, and it doesn't look like we're going to have any in. So shows what I know. So
we're ambitious, to be fair.
Ambitious but rubbish is generally how I approach things. I'm not. Yes, I'm not nervous, but or necessarily antsy about anything. But I thought we might. There might be movement, not necessarily stuff over the line, but just when you get that feeling with rumours that they start to really pick up pace, and you think this one's getting close. It doesn't feel like we're really close to anything.
No, it doesn't.
At the moment.
No, spinning his wheels a little bit, doesn't it? That's what it feels like.
Yeah, the Wolves deals are interesting, and but I think that as a parachute team, they're probably in a different position from what we are financially. But I guess you kind of molded a little bit about the past and how it seems to always take us forever to get going in summer windows, and we're sat here all the time going stuff's in and it doesn't happen, and what are United playing at? Are we going to sign anybody? And it just goes on and on and on. So I suppose the time frame that starts to happen just seems to get earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier.
Yeah, we've been stung before, haven't we? And I think that sort of hangs over Blades a little bit, but it's still very, very early in the window. We can't forget that. And I do think that once one deal falls, one big deal like a Hayden Hackney or a Fernandez at West Ham, I think that's when all the dominoes will start to fall. But Paul, what are your thoughts on the current non-movement at United, really, on the playing staff?
Well, I think the ones we want to, there'll be some players who have been, and we know this because Wilder told us last season, there's players whose representatives will be hawking their names around clubs, will be open to, and we know about our financial changes in terms of the lack of parachute payments. We know the wage bill has to come down. We know, and we will have reduced it by the players that we've released already. We're going to be waiting to see what people put on the table for some of our guys, I think, before we start committing to any reasonable size contracts for players like the ones we're talking about. So if we are going to have to contribute for Phillips, if we are going to have to fork out a little bit extra and make him top paid player, Kyle Walker, the coffers will need to be replenished with a couple of sales, I'd imagine, before we start committing to deals that we think might hamstring the club, because ultimately we know we've got to sell. And I doubt we're going to be able to chuck money at people who we feel are going to be top players at the level until we do so. So I'm expecting a couple out before we start making any significant moves. I won't mind a free agent come walking in the door. I doubt that it's in the player's interests to take the first offer that drops onto the desk.
Correct.
So I'm unsurprised that there's been lots of movement. I think that at this level, Raul Jimenez and Kieran Trippier have been very good players at Premier League level at times. I wouldn't be too worried about Kieran Trippier. I think his dead ball and final ball quality is very good. Do I think that Andre Brooks running at him would scare him to death? Yes, I do. I think if they're going to enjoy a lot of possession, Wolves, which they probably are, he's a man who can deliver real quality into the box for them. But on the transition, he would be a liability for them, because he's not physically the best, or he's certainly not where he was 5 years ago.
Sorry, I'm just getting a timestamp for this, just so that I can go back at the end of the season.
I like Kieran. I think his final ball is quality, and it has been for a long time.
You would have been interested in him.
Sorry,
you wouldn't have been interested in him for United.
Would I took him over Kyle Walker?
I got Kyle Walker.
No, but if I'm interested in two players, would I'd have took him to dovetail with Femi? Yes, I would, of course. But
it'd be cheaper.
Am I really worried about that?
No, I think they're good signings for.
They've had to offer him a two year, though, haven't they?
I mean, Raul's obviously, bless him, had the thing with his obviously with his cranium, that you never know if they're going to come back in the same way. And yeah, you're right, Jim. At this level, he will score a lot of goals, but I don't see him. I don't see him getting a Premier League move, and I don't think Trips would be the answer for somebody who was being promoted or even a bottom end Premier League team anymore. So I think Wolves is a really good move for him and a really good move for them. I do think that on the transition, Trippier's will have shortcomings in the physicality side of the game, because I don't think he's ever been the quickest, but. That would be my concern. If they're camped out, yeah, he can deliver a final ball quality, no doubt. But when you have to race back and you've got someone running at you, I wouldn't be too worried about playing against him.
He's a massive culture setter, though, I think, for that.
Yeah, so Kyle Walker be though. If we go,
I'm just talking in general.
If we go get Kyle Walker, I think there's pluses and minuses to both, but I think the better defender is Kyle Walker, personally.
I agree. I think it's always a risk when you sign in players that are depreciating. So, like, obviously, they're both stepping down from the Premier League now. Will likely never play in the Premier League again. 35, 36, whatever they might be. You don't know when that talent is going to sharply drop, because it can do in some players. What we do know in most cases for older players, they become a little bit more brittle and susceptible to injury. So it is a risk to put so much money into which you can only assume is what they've done. They're 2 free transfers, but it's a lot of money that they will be putting into these deals.
Yeah.
So it's still a risk, and it will have to be sort of leveled out in their squad cost ratio as they work it out. It's clearly a going for it move from Wolves, because they are players for this season and probably this season only, even though Trippier's got a 2-year deal. They are not looking at, he'll still do a job for us next season. He probably would, but they are going for it this year, because that is get the best out of them while you absolutely can. But will they play 46 games? I don't think they will.
They'll be They'll be paying them a lot of money. Can you see him being able to do 50 games? Can you see him being able to do 3 games in a week? I feel like Kyle Walker probably could, and I don't feel like Kieran Trippier probably could. That's where my brain sits. I think that Walker is more of a physical machine, arguably one of the best ever, and a proper athlete. I don't think Trippier is a proper athlete. I think he's been a really good pro. I think his final ball's excellent. I've always said that. I'm not shying that. But what I am saying is, when Wolves have got to go and play 3 games in a week, you're going to have to rotate. You're going to have to change your team. You're going to have to alter the way you play, because you're not going to get someone in with the same quality on the ball as him. That's the first thing. And he's not going to be able to do that, in my opinion. And I think that's Newcastle have been managing him for a couple of years now, really, in terms of the number of games and minutes that he actually gets. Because, like I say, on the ball, he's got everything you need. But it's the other part of the game that he might struggle with in going into the older age. I'd be more concerned about Trippier's ability to stay the course than Kyle Walker. That's me. And I still think he'll be a good signing for him. He'll score free kicks. His set piece delivery will deliver lots of good things for them. But
agreed.
Yeah, there'll be physical beasts who knock him about this season. There's no doubt about it. He's not going to get the same protection as he would in the Premier League either. And I don't see him being able to do 50 games. So
I think it's a little bit harsh. I understand. I think the point is valid, but I think I still think he's a really good signing for him. The one thing I will say particularly about Raul Jimenez is I still think he's a great signing. I don't want it to get taken out of context, but the example I would probably give you is Danny Ings. So Danny Ings 3 years ago would have been a great signing for anybody at Championship level, and today he's been released from Sheffield United and doesn't know if he's going to get another club at Championship level. So Raul Jimenez could decline to the same level that Danny Ings, and again, I don't mean that to be negative on Danny Ings, because he's had a brilliant career and been a great striker, which is why I'm including him in this comparison. But there's also the counter to it would be a Callum Wilson, for example, who looks like he's going to go back into the Premier League, and West Ham want to keep him, but he's done enough to earn another deal potentially at one of the newly promoted Premier League clubs. So there's loads of it could go any which way, but as it stands, despite the risk because of their age and the huge financial investment, any club in the Championship takes those 2 signings for me. I think they are really good signings for Wolves, and I think it strengthens them further, probably nudges them. If it were neck and neck with West Ham at the minute because of the uncertainty at West Ham, probably just nudges Wolves slightly in front. But this is the first of what will be dozens of moves in and out at both clubs and all clubs within the league. So this is why we love it. This is why we love doing it.
They're paying them a lot of money there as well, though, Jim.
They've released Matt Doherty, though, haven't they, as well? So that frees up space for Kieran Trippier to come in, because Matt Doherty on a Premier League wage won't have been on much more or much less than what they'll be paying Kieran Trippier now in the Championship. So it's a really interesting deal, and I think they will be stronger for it, certainly. But
Raul Jimenez has got something to prove, mate, for me. I think from where he was before, his ability is that of, a Mitrovic at this level, I would say. That is his ability. But he relies on a lot of physical power. And as he's got older, he's got to prove that he's still got that to be able to produce the goods at the level. I think he's got something to prove. I think he's a great signing for him. But
12 goal contributions for Fulham this season.
12.
Played 36 games, scored 9 goals, got 3 assists.
Yeah,
he's still doing it, isn't he?
Yeah, you'd say that. Yeah, I think he's. I think he's good
with Mexico.
I think he's good. Yeah, I think he's a really good striker. He'll score a lot at this level. I've no doubt about it. And
he will.
Yeah. I think
you'd have had him in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But I think Wolves are going to do that anyway. I think Wolves are, for me, nailed on for automatic promotion. It is my gut. I think they're nailed on. I've been saying it to people for a bit now. I think they've been prepping for it for longer than the others. Yeah, and they've actually got better throughout the season towards the back end.
Appointed a Championship manager. Don't rate him.
No, they've still got a few players who are going to go. I don't fancy the Championship. I think who are going to leave. But yeah, for me, the Wolves are going to be right in it.
Okay. Before we move into the comments, final quick fire question. we'll go 5 Sheffield United players. I've asked you this before, and I'm going to just ask for a one-word answer from you. Stay or go? Stay or go? We're going to go Dave first, then Paul for both of these. 'Cause
I know what you're going to say here.
Andre Brooks, stay or go?
Willie, or do I want?
Willie.
Stay.
Paul?
Stay.
Femi Siriki. Dave?
Stay.
Go.
This is what you think will happen rather than what you want to happen. Okay, so you think Femi goes. Paul? Harrison Burrows?
Go.
Go.
Oh, I didn't expect that. Oh. Sidney Peck?
Go.
Gustavo Hamer?
Go.
Go.
Oh, so you both think City and Gus leave, and you both think Burrows will leave, and Paul also thinks Siriki will leave. Wow. Okay, interesting. Right, let's jump into some comments. JB says, marching on together, all Leeds, aren't we? No, we're not, my mate. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Thank you, my mate. I'll have them last 2 more. So, Jimmy, you're Leeds, and you know you are. No, I'm closer to Leeds. I am a Blade. Don't you worry about that, pal. Batman says, something that sprung to mind was how Fergie would change his assistants every few seasons. He wouldn't let it get stale, and sometimes a different voice alongside you with different ideas is needed. We should be thankful to Knilly. Did so much for the club, but maybe it's the right time to freshen up the coaching and leadership team. Strong sense that Wilder has to deliver promotion next term. Up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. Just on that, do you feel it is? I mean, we've said before that 8th is the absolute minimum that Chris Wilder will be expected to deliver next season. We have to get a playoff place because we will still. I think so anyway. Is it promotion or boot? Do we think for Wilder?
No.
I know we wouldn't necessarily. It depends how the season pans out. But if we get into the playoffs and don't make it, do you think we make a managerial change next summer?
No, I think it's down. I think if we struggle, then I don't think you'll see the season out if we struggle. I think if we limp there, they may. But I think if it's a strong campaign but it's just not quite enough because there's 3 better teams, then I don't think they'll make the mistake they made last time. I
agree. Paul, do you think it's not promotion or bust, is it, for Wilder?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't be.
I know it shouldn't be. No. We got 92 points and got sacked last time. So
yeah, but that's why I'm framing my answer this way, mate, because it'll depend strongly. Typically, these things go with what you spend. So there's always an anomaly. There's always a side that surprises, but it typically goes. If you spend and you typically top 2 spenders will be the top 2 at the end, typically.
Yeah.
And then if we are in that top 8 conversation when it comes to our wage bill and our spend, that should be in line with the expectation. We've got to get our heads around as supporters that we are not a parachute side. We are not now one of the biggest payers. We underperformed last season as a club. And I think Wilder's earned the right to have a go at it himself with his own players. And for me, anything in the top half should see him keep his job. And if not, then it's up to the owners.
Top half. So you'd give him 11th or 12th.
Well, I think that if our budget is 11th or 12th, then that's typically how managers should be judged based on that. That's typically how it gets done. There's always sides that do better, and there's always sides that underachieve. Leicester City being the main ones, Hull City being the main ones that have overachieved.
Yeah.
So it does happen, but I can guarantee that the Leicester manager doesn't keep his job and the Hull City manager does, and that's how football is. So I think if we're within 1 or 2 places of where we should be, I don't think it's a case of taking a wrecking ball to everything every season. I think that longevity and giving people an opportunity, especially ones that have got the reputation that to have taken us out of this division, taken us out of League One, and we're doing it his way. I think he deserves the respect and the time to do that. And he's proved it this season. I mean, I'd said it again. We were upset with the season because we had high expectations and our budget dictated we should have been in the top 5. But actually, like I said to you, after 10 games and the mess that the club was in and where we were, 13th is not a disaster by any means. Where Leicester was a disaster.
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
West Brom nearly was a disaster. And we've got to look at that and go, okay, he's done what he needed to do, and that's keep us in a respectable position. And now you've got to back him to make decisions about the team. And again, we're waiting to see what happens. There'll be players that leave that he won't want to lose. The ones we've mentioned, I doubt he wants to lose any of them. But he's also has to be realistic about what he needs to generate in order to change the players that he does want to get rid of. And there'll be 5 or 6 of those who he'll want to try and command a small fee for and replace in the squad because he doesn't think they're good enough. So it's all about that. It's all about what can he generate, what can we generate as a club to then replace the guys that we don't want in the squad. The ones that we are going to get sold are the ones that we don't want to sell, but that's football.
I'm just going to do something out of kilter here and go straight to the bottom of the pile for the comments. So the latest comment to come in, because Lou has responded saying, agree with Paul that Wilder should keep his job if we don't go up, but I'm certain if he doesn't deliver it, he won't be here. I'm as close to 100% sure as I can be. So Lou thinks it's promotion or bust for Wilder.
I think if we lost in the playoffs and they sacked him, I would have a problem with that.
Okay. Wayne, he says, hi guys, we all wish Knilly all the best for the future. I'm sure things are in place to fill his role. I'm not. But like United, we won't get to know anything until last minute. If at all, Wayne, I don't think we'll talk about it much from now unless Wilder sort of kicks off about it basically when asked, or sort of alludes to the fact that it wasn't his decision. I think we've done it enough to I wanted to get the boys' opinion on it. But it's largely speculative, and nothing really good can come from that sort of speculation now. We have to cover it because it's what the fans are talking about, but we're not really going to know. So can't pick the bones out of it to death. But yes, if it's been taken out of Wilder's hands, it's precarious and doesn't look good for the season. I would lean more towards Wilder had some probably a light touch on it, but he's been aware of it and he's on board with it. But we're not going to know, in all truth. I understand Chris is at the World Cup, so it'll be quiet at the lane for a while. What are your guys' views on Phil Jones as a coach? Didn't rate him too highly as a defender. Up the blades, up the ramble. We've covered that a little bit, pal, and it's more a case we don't know what people offer behind the scenes. So as much as you might not rate him as a player, you might not have thought Chris Wilder was the next Cafu when he were playing, but he's turned out to be an all right manager for us, hasn't he? And you see great players. Roy Keane might be an example, who was a top player, top player. But then when he transitioned into being a manager, he couldn't understand why players of a poor ability couldn't do the things that he could do with the football, and it didn't quite transition right. So I don't think your playing career has really much involvement in how you're going to be as a coach. I think it can be completely night and day sometimes.
It's his personality, isn't it? I think Roy Keane's a great personality. He's absolute box office when you see him on the telly.
As a pundit, I love him.
But the only ones who've carried off that kind of arrogance in terms of it's my way, the highway. This is Roy Keane's approach to how he was on the pitch and as a manager. You've got to be very successful.
You have got to be Jose, haven't you?
People to jump on top of that and go, well, we'll buy him as a manager now because you've got to be.
Because it's going to be. Oh, does this guy think he is?
You've got to be as good as Brian Clough to be able to stand in front of people and tell them what's what and who's who. You've got to be as good as Fergie to stand in front of people and tell them, like Roy would want to. He'd want to be like, well, I'm the boss here, sort your head out. You've got to be that. You've got to be good to be able to to act the way that Roy Keane's personality is, basically. And
even then, not just personality based, but Fergie wasn't known to be a brilliant player, and he's probably best, certainly domestic manager we've ever seen. So it doesn't always correlate, does it? Pep's been both. It's probably fair to say he's been a top player and a top manager, but they're rare, I think. So anyway, JB Leeds, Batman Lou, just replying to our Leeds pal, says, even if he was, no one would admit to that. He says, I know he's a blade. I tried. Yes, I am definitely a blade. So Aid comes in with 1 of 5. So buckle up, boys. With love and respect, I think a large part of our fan base may need to change their perception of what they believe Sheffield United is. I like this already. Seems increasingly clear that COH Sports wants to take the club in a different direction, and that direction won't necessarily align with what many of us have grown up expecting. This may no longer be a team built around booting the ball into channels, going shoulder to shoulder with opponents, or relying on blood and thunder football. The future appears to be centred on highly technical football, modern coaching principles, and a more sophisticated style of play. To avoid disappointment during this next era, some supporters may need to adjust their expectations and accept that the club's identity may be evolving into different from what we've always known. I disagree with this, but lads, thoughts on this? Who wants to go first? Dave, you look perplexed. I want to get your immediate thoughts.
I've said this before. I think football is changing, and you can't expect it to be the same club that you were 10, 15 years ago, and it worked today. And I think using sort of Man United as an example of how they've spoken about, this identity that the club have of it has to be about, playing youth and playing aggressive football. And if you score 2, you go for 3 and that kind of thing. And you can't, I think you've got to be understanding that you've got to evolve with the times. I don't think that necessarily means that, I'm not sure I'm on board with the hoofing it into channels and that kind of thing, but changing how you operate and how you play doesn't necessarily mean that you need to change the manager, because I don't buy into this theory that we talk about Wilder and we can only do 3 at the back, and I fundamentally disagree with that as a principle. I think that managers are adaptable, and their understanding of the game is far beyond what ours is.
I think I agree. I think it's idealistic to want a high technical, structured management team, and that might be the optimum goal at the end of the rainbow or whatever it is that they see. But the owners want successful football. They want a successful football club that's going to get into the Premier League and that's got the best opportunity of getting there. If we poo-house it for 90 minutes and win every game 1-0 next season, they will still be the first to pop the champagne corks with how much money they're going to get for their investment. So success is the key, and it's however you get there. I think all clubs, particularly with foreign ownership and the way that football's going, and it's becoming more of a brand and stuff like this, all clubs sort of have, a lot of clubs, should I say, have this idealistic expectation of, we want to play super attacking, smooth football, and we want a head coach and all this sort of different sort of structure behind the scenes. And that's all well and good if you can get that in process up and running. We went with a completely different way of doing things with Ruben Sayers, and the board have had their fingers bit by that significantly. They've reverted back to type, what is our DNA as a club. I'm not against, like Dave says, I'm not against us evolving as a football club. And that's the part I strongly agree with Aid on. I think we have to evolve as a football club. But I don't think you have to rip yourselves up and become unrecognisable overnight. I think you can evolve rather than it be a revolution as to a completely different way of doing things. And let's sack and manage a dinosaur like Chris Wilder, like a lot of people pigeonhole him, and let's bring in, a 38-year-old coach. Phil Jones is going to be the new head coach of Sheffield United. So I don't think that's the direction we're necessarily going in. I think they will probably have a longer term strategy of having more, certainly less emphasis on one man, because that's a precarious position to be in all the time as a club. And we've talked about it on here. You can't do that. But I don't have any danger that we're going to lose our identity as a club anytime soon. Paul, any thoughts on this, mate?
Yeah, strong thoughts. I think it feels like that's a comment I could have made 10 years ago, maybe longer ago, about United. I thought the style was I didn't think we were a good football team. I didn't think we were a good watch. I didn't think we played a lot of really good football. Maybe even longer than 10 years ago. When I was younger, I thought we played a lot of percentages. We put the ball in the box a lot, and I could have got on board with that a long time ago. And I was there for Steve Bruce, and I was there for those Jostein Flo and all those types of players and things like that, where we did use a target man and we did pump the ball up and things like that. I think that Wilder has done amazing things with what he's got, and I think that's what good managers tend to do. I think you've got to play to the strengths of what you've got in the team. I wouldn't level that at the team now. I think the signings that we make, I don't think Riedeveld, I don't think Joe Rothwell in the Leeds team, you'd say they were umpa-lumpers. They're not big tacklers. City Peck embodies an attitude that we like about it, and I think the hard work and the putting it in, and when we were most successful, we were running further, we were working harder than a lot of teams around us, and I think that for me is the identity of Sheffield United now, not some teams that hit channels and teams that hit percentage balls all the time. But I don't think that can be levelled at us, and shouldn't have been levelled at us in recent times at all, to be honest. So yeah, I disagree with that part, but I think he's right. If we were talking a long time ago, that is my feelings exactly about Sheffield United, but not anymore. I think we sign players that are good technical footballers. And we play some good, really, really nice football at times. So yeah, I don't necessarily agree, but I do think that he's got a point about evolving and a blend and a mixture. And like I said, I don't see anything wrong with new ideas. I just think it has to be married with your identity, and that doesn't mean, like a lot of people will naysay and say that, it doesn't mean we have to have all our ex-pros in. We don't have to have legends of the club in. We don't have to have, this guy and that guy because he's mates with Wilder and whatever. I don't see a problem with that, trying to introduce new ideas, even if it's just for a season. They might have learned quite a bit off a different coach who then gets another offer and moves on. We don't know the circumstances. It's football, isn't it? But I don't feel like that. I don't think signing players like Calvin Phillips and Joe Rothwell and having Blaster in the middle and Patrick Bamford. Yeah, the footballers. They're good footballers, and it's not like the days of Brian Dean and Alan Cork, etc. I think we're a different side now, so I don't accept that really.
Well said, mate. Speaking of evolving, I'm evolving from a fat man to a less fat man. I am currently on my own fitness journey. I've been trying to learn about what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. Oxford Natural offer you 2 types of supplement: a day and a nighttime supplement. Optimum Day helps with energy, cravings, just keeping you on track day to day. Their Optimum Night, well, that's more about recovery, sleep, and letting your body reset properly. Again, something I really struggle with. Michael Owens lost 35 pounds being on this. Robbie Lyle, AFTV and friend of the channel, over 80 pounds gone. We've also got examples like Anita, an immigration lawyer who's lost 44 pounds. Linda, a legal executive, she's lost 50 pounds. Next on that list is going to be me. I am taking part in their weight loss program. If you want to follow that, that's over on the other side on our YouTube channel. If you want to go and subscribe over there, follow that journey that I'm doing with Dr. Andre and Oxford Natural. So if you're like me and you're sitting here thinking, I need to sort myself out, it might be worth a look. Scan the QR code, the link's in the description below, and make sure you use the code BR70 for up to 70% off your first order. But thank you to Oxford Natural for supporting the Blades Ramble. Oh, no. We're back. Yeah. £16 down, lads. £16 down. That killed you, didn't it, Paul? Thank you for that, mate.
It's good. I'm transitioning. When it started, I was like,
evolving. Come on,
transitioning. That's not
transitioning. He's not going the full hog just yet, but he's.
I hope that's not what these tablets are for. Anyway. We'll crack on. So JB says, Jimmy, remember that Leeds shirt is Premier League. You can always switch it, my mate. What are the goals for this season for the Blades? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. And then I think he stops writing. So the goals are playoffs minimum, JB. That is what fans will expect. That's what we'll certainly be hopeful of, even if we don't really genuinely expect it on the field. I think it's got to be playoffs minimum. I want to see you Blades in the promised land this season. We'll struggle this season, but I know what you're saying, pal. Yes, so do we. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm looking forward to the new season. Big summer to come. Blades already falling behind in the window, says Scott. Wolves bringing in 2. Trippier and Jimenez is great business already. It is good business. I don't think we're falling behind, though, on 9th of June. Transfer window ain't open yet, so we've got a bit of time. This will only be positive if we're bringing in an experienced coach to help Wilder, says Jack. We need the experience and something different. Sarah says, evening 3MB, hope you're all good. We are, thank you. Hope you are too. Raymondo says, evening all, get this World Cup started and out of the way, bring on the new season. Get World Cup started and finished. Get it gone, says Ray. Get club football back. Bring on the new season. Going to be a tough one, I think. Up the blades, up the ramble. Like and subscribe. Is it possible the owners are trying to elbow Chris out? I hope not, but I don't get good vibes out of the decision. We'll see, I'm sure. Alan Biggs reported that Knill was shocked by the decision and wanted to carry on. Biggs, I assume that is. Biggs is a trusted reporter. He is a trusted reporter. And again, I don't think as speculating on it now when we're not going to get an answer will help. We all know how we feel about it. I just don't want to sort of keep it circulating in the ether because I think it's quite negative it's a genuine concern to be worried about in some aspects, but we're never going to get the answer that defines what's definitely happened. So that's why I think we're moving past it a little bit, Ray, but I appreciate you put that comment a while ago before we heavily talked about it. I'm hoping this summer is the last time we are a nostalgia club, says Scott. Forget all the ex-Blades and try and get them back and move forward with the times. Just feels like we keep going in circles. Is this a Blades problem, lads, or is this a Chris Wilder problem? He's talked more about going for trusted and robust championship players, and automatically we're linked to players then like Brereton Diaz, who've been here before, and other players that have been on his list for either been here before or been circulated with United before. And I think what Scott's saying is it doesn't really give you a lot of fresh names in the mix sometimes. So do we run the risk of becoming a bit of a nostalgia-driven club at times, Paul?
I think it's reporters reporting and doing their job. And I think that with Sheffield United, it's just so easy to go, oh, he might be available. Let's ask him if he'd be in. It's just.
But it's Calvin Phillips again, who we think is probably going to happen. It's Kyle Walker who would be returning to the club. It's, I know, Dave. That's a bit of a stretch, but it is though, isn't it? It's the same names all the time linked. It's not. We don't ever get linked with a. I mean, we're not a parachute team anymore. But Raul Jimenez would never have been in the conversation for Sheffield United, even as a parachute team. So. There's no like brand new names that you hear on a regular basis, I would say.
Oh, but is that just Wolves going back in time when they had him before and being all, being that team? Do you know what I mean? Everyone was waxing lyrical a minute ago about Raul Jimenez, and now we're criticising our own club for. I will criticise
him if Steve Bull rocks up on first day of the
season. Well, yeah, there you go. But they did it with Matt Doherty. Didn't work for him either. Are Wolves that side? Are they the side that go back to all the old players? Maybe they are the ones. Maybe we haven't signed any of them yet, and maybe we're not going to. So let's not worry about it. I'm waiting to see what actually happens, Jim. Until he's got the
boring.
I know, sorry if that's boring. Sorry for the boring.
What do you mean being factual about it rather than speculating?
They're going to sign all the old players, aren't they? Going to get Carl Bradshaw back in and go and get Brian Dean on the coaching. It's like we don't know, do we? We don't know. They're easy names to link. That's what reporters have done. We jump all over it. Let's see.
Wilder does do that, he knows and trusts certain players, and he'll go back to them. It's been done in the past, hasn't it? So,
how many times has he done it in the past?
Hang on, I can't multitask, and I've just noticed Dave's bedroom. We're creeping into your shot, so I'm moving your camera a little bit.
That's
all right. My bedroom.
It's the cell. Right. It's his cell.
It's my cell.
All right, his cell. Who's he done it with before? Who's returned to Sheffield? Well, he'll be doing it with Calvin Phillips, won't he? He'd have done it with Ollie McBurney. Who else would he have done it with? Phil Jagielka? Billy Sharp. Billy Sharp were already here, to be fair. Harry Suter would come back, I'm sure.
They're not back, are they?
No, but Hamza Chowdhury, he's linked with Hamza Chowdhury. I'm sure Hamza Chowdhury's been on. And even if they don't
come back, I don't see Hamza Chowdhury in this team.
Even if they don't come back, you can 100% believe he's picking up the phone and speaking to them about coming back, whether it comes off or not, because he trusts them. I don't think there's a problem with this, by the way, but I can't say it's not a Wilder trait to go back to familiar, trusted faces, because I think it is.
But he hasn't yet, has he? And having a player on loan and then having him alone again is, to me, is not going back in nostalgia signings. They're current signings. They're players. Like, we only had Calvin Phillips here for a little bit, and if he comes back, I don't think it's just going, oh, we're just returning to the old pros. And I don't.
Do you want us to sign Calvin Phillips?
We spoke about this the other day. I think again on the right circumstances and the right deal. If it's like last year, which again I believe that we were probably paying nothing for him. If it's like something like that, then you take him in a heartbeat because the risk is zero, isn't it? Yes, it's true though, because again, I was the one that said he's not going to leave Man City for Sheffield United on a perm basis. It'll be a loan deal, and it'll be, a nominal wage that United will be paying, because that's basically all we can afford. We can't afford anything like his money. But if he came back, I'd say it'd be a low risk move for Sheffield United, and I'd be all over it, because like you've said, if he hits the straps, we've got a level up midfielder.
What a player!
Is that the Ramble way of saying yes?
Yeah. Listen, we never give a short answer around here, Dave. You know that.
But it's not, Dave. Because
that's what you're here for.
If somebody said, "Oh, you're going to sign him back and you're going to put him on 50 grand a week and you're going to honour it for 2 years with a third year in the pipe," I'd say no, because we can't afford to take that risk on that kind of player. If he's going to come in,
I'd say, "Oi, Phillips, no,
you will not come back for that kind of cash. We'll take you for nothing, or you can sling your hook." No, I know it's one of them, mate. It depends on the deal. They all depend on the deal, don't they? And Carl Walker's exactly the same. If Walker was holding us to ransom and wanting 50 grand a week, we can't afford 50 grand a week. Let's not pay him the money and let's move on to the next target. If he said he needs to put up and show up, and I said this last time, if he wants to come, he needs to come on the terms that Sheffield United offer him, because he can't need the money. And if he wants to play for Sheffield United, he'd still be paid very well, a lot better than you and me, to come and play for his boyhood club and show us that he wants to play for us by doing that. If he goes to sign for Norwich City because they'll offer him another 10 grand, again, he can do that. That's his career and it's his choice. But if he wants to play for Sheffield United, come on the terms that are offered and that the club can afford, and do it, and stop talking about it and do it.
Is that the Ramble way of saying no?
No, it's not, David. I'll explain it again if you want me to.
No, we're moving on. So Dave Morwood in the comments. Good to see you, pal. Evening, guys. Hope all are well. Here's a bit of news for you. A good source told me I'm having a day out tomorrow at Pasty on the Beach. Nice. Up all the rambles, up the blades. Like and subscribe,
trusted
please.
Source, Dave. Trusted source.
Trusted source. Yeah, I don't know what sauce he'd have on his pasty like, to be fair. But just while he's saying like and subscribe, we are 36 subscribers away from 12,000 subscribers. If you're not already and you enjoy the content, then please do give us a subscribe. It's completely free. Just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Nick Cook, good to see you back, mate. Not seen you in the comments for a little while. Good to see you, pal. Knilly did an interview last season when Wilder got sent off. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, he has done the odd interview, to be fair. Knilly, for me, had gone stale. We need a new face. Taz, who's often in our dugout, I think, during games and at the training ground. I've seen you there regularly, Taz. That is me being very facetious, obviously. But how do you know that Knilly's gone stale? I cannot get my head around comments like this. I cannot get my head around it. What does Knilly do day to day? Dave, you know when Knilly clocks in at Shirecliffe, what does he do?
Goes and makes himself a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Probably has a couple of hobnobs. He's
Yeah.
quite partial to a ginger nut, I'm told.
He was, but he doesn't tend to have that now. He's gone a little bit stale, I've heard. So how the chuff do we know what Alan Knill's doing at the training ground?
You're gonna have to go after the lads that said that Phil Jones is a load of rubbish, because we don't know that either.
I cannot. How do we know? How do we know what Knilly's doing day to day? We can all assume that he's slowed down or his ideas have dried up or whatever, but we don't know that. We're speculating, and I think it's just a wild guess and an assumption that's what's happened. And we need. Don't get me wrong. We can all do with new ideas at times, and that's absolutely fine. And if that's the reason the call's been made, then that's the call we've taken. But it don't mean that Knilly's dropped off a cliff in terms of what his ability or his contribution or anything like that. It's an assumption, Taz. So sorry to have gone for you so harshly there, but I just think it's you are. I've seen a lot of these type of comments, and I just think we don't know, do we? We don't. It's not like you can judge him on a. We could criticise Ty Campbell for his on-field performances last season because we'd seen that he wasn't the same player as he was the previous season. We've no idea how Knilly's impact has changed from last season to this season. So it might change nothing in his routine, and we still got 92 points with him there. He won't stale then. So anyway, that's just my little thoughts on that. Saw on Twitter someone suggesting Monty currently coaching in China. Certainly ex-Blade, but then Scott just said don't go back to old names about Nostalgia FC. That's one thing. There's another. I do like the old names coming back in. Monty, while he's a United cult hero, I would probably say, he's a Warnock boy, isn't he? He's a different era of the club. Not that that would matter, I don't think, in the grand scheme. I think we're all Blades, aren't we, and all that sort of thing. But I think they have different connections, shall we say. Monty, by the way, lads, would you be all right with Monty coming in as an assistant if that were to happen?
Can I do it?
Go on. Yeah, okay. Slade Blade says maybe the club was planning to do a press release or club website announcement in the next few weeks, but someone started leaking snip bits again. Yeah, possibly. Those pesky snip bits. They do sneak out a little bit from our club, I have to say. And to be fair, I'm not calling the reporters on that. They're doing their job, so they're getting the information from somewhere. Dave Morwood says, at the Star Awards, didn't Wilder pay a tribute to Knilly? If so, could that have been a sign of what was happening, in the words of Dave? Yes, it could have been. I thought that myself, Dave, because Danny Hall mentioned that when Wilder got his, I think it was like a Lifetime Achievement Award or something, or going into the Sheffield Hall of Fame or something, he, in part of his speech, a big part was Alan Knill that he referenced. And Danny Hall sort of spoke on X about it, and the way I interpreted it was, well, it's a major shock because Wilder was only just paying tribute to him like 2-3 weeks ago. The other side of the coin, like Dave Morwood says here, is he knew what's to come, and Knilly might have known what was to come, and he was paying tribute to him because that's what he feels is the right thing to do. So there is a different way of looking at it too. Blades 375 Alex says, evening all, hope everyone's good. Are you optimistic for the season ahead? For me, having Wilder in charge makes me excited for this rebuild. Excited, boys?
No.
Paul?
Yeah,
me too. Is Betty still at the club? Seen a few posts saying he's on gardening leave. Yes, I believe he is still at the club. I've heard nothing about him being on gardening leave. Not that they would contact me and tell me, but I don't think. I think we'd all know about it if Steve Bettis were on gardening leave. Hi lads, how about getting Jack Lester in as a number 2 up the Ramble? Says Papa Blade. It were a name I thought about, but he's a coach at Brentford in the Premier League who've just qualified for Europe. I think he'll be quite comfortable. You'd have assume he's relocated down there as well. He's a Blade, so there's always that connection there, isn't there? But there's going to be loads of names flying about until someone's appointed. That's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? Everything Paul's saying about Trippier, I could say about Walker. Kyle isn't the same player either. Lost a lot of pace and defensively suspect for Burnley this season. You'd say Tripp offers more. Aid says, Walker looked awful for Burnley at Ellen Road. Struggled to track Okafor and looked completely off pace. Scott then says, I 100% agree. I watched him a few times for Burnley and he looked lost and beaten easily. As Blades, not me, are so biased towards our own, and that's why I think we won't move forward and we'll struggle next season. Dave, what are you giggling at? Come on.
As Blades, not me.
So Scott, I do think there's a bias to our own. I don't mind that, to be honest. It's part of being loyal to people who have done the business for your club. What are your thoughts on what he's saying here on Walker? Has had a poor season for Burnley by some accounts. I haven't seen enough of him, to be honest, to comment fully on it.
Same.
Okay.
But he's been pretty much ever present for the man. He's played loads. So
yeah, from what I understand, the loose bits I can put together is he started really strongly and then his form fell off a cliff a little bit. It doesn't. I think we still have to be aware there is a huge gulf in talent between the Premier League and the Championship. This is a Burnley side that improved on a side that got 100 points in the Championship. So, and then they've been battered in the Prem. So that is the difference. That is the gulf that we're talking about. And for Kyle Walker to come he gets into any Championship side. So
it's hard, isn't it, to keep the level up? As good a player as you might be, when you're getting beaten, more most weeks. It's really hard to keep that form up over an entire season.
It is. It is, my mate. Ed says, I was wondering if on paper, CW is the second best manager in the league next season. Nuno won, good for us, but does the Alan Knill thing drop his number in the league? Good for us. Good for us. I'm not sure I understand that. Nuno number one, good for us, but does the Alan Knill? So does Wilder become a weaker manager, I suppose, without his trusty number two next to him? We're not going to know, I think, Ed, is the honest answer.
We'll know next year, won't we?
Yeah, we will.
He doesn't become a weaker manager, does he? But the team, the coaching team, potentially, depending on what happens, becomes weaker for it. But it could become stronger for it.
The other thing I will point to is, and I don't think this will be the case with us at all, because I think everybody knows what I think of Chris Wilder, but Mark Robbins and Adi Vivash were together at Coventry. Adi Vivash left and Coventry started to struggle. They sacked Mark Robbins. Mark Robbins went into Stoke without Adi Vivash and hasn't had a good time of it at all. Adi Vivash has gone to Middlesbrough as assistant manager and they've done very well. So, and that a lot of that could be coincidence, but sometimes when you split up a management team, that it can have a negative effect. That's just one that jumps out to me as an obvious example, because people often talk about how good a manager at the level Mark Robbins is, but he had a really poor season last year without his right-hand man. So maybe that's something for us to bear in mind. Will says, I can also see Burrows, Peck and Hamer all leave, unfortunately. So do the lads. But I hope they all stay up the Blades, up the Ramble. It will be strange to see Wilder in charge without Alan Knill. It will indeed. Wilder is out of contract next summer anyway, isn't he? He signed an 18-month contract when he came back. That's true, Scott. He is. Not being, you'd think though he'd renew if all goes well. You'd like to think so anyway. Not being a parachute team isn't a bad thing, says Ed. In each of the last 10 seasons, one non-parachute club has gone up. Sometimes two have gone up. Well, two went up last season, which is, the odds are good for that. It also means the league becomes stronger because there's more parachute teams involved in it, and we're not one of them. So we'll wait and see. Money isn't everything. That's but it is a lot. Agree with Paul that that's the one I read that I jumped straight to the bottom for. Scott Parker in for me after 10 games if Wilder's not hitting the mark. Paul?
Nope.
Thank you very much. James says, what have I heard over the Knill situation is it's partly the board and partly Wilder. Asked for more coaching staff, was told no money to bring people in and was told to offload to bring people in. Hope Wilder doesn't just bring in a mate who doesn't have the capability.
He won't.
No, he won't. I don't think so. Will says, look out for my new podcast, starting hopefully soon. Been practicing and it'll get started whenever I'm ready. Very good, Will. Best of luck with that then, pal. Brian Clough did that at Leeds after replacing Don Revie. He got sacked after 44 days, says Ed. Brilliant. Nath says, don't mind Phil Jones as a coach. He seems to have done well when brought in at Blackburn and helped to keep them up when they looked in trouble. By the way, the best coaches can do both types of hoof or pretty ball. Yeah, fair. Ed says, I actually think Wilder could deliver what the board want on style change. Maybe that's the Alan Knill change. Sorry for the 1 of 5 message before. Don't worry about it, mate. I like it when people give us a varied and sort of detailed opinion. Bald and Brilliant Lee says, as a CW supporter, if we don't go up next season, I fear for his job. These owners have already shown how reckless they can be. A huge knee-jerk reaction in sacking Wilder last summer. Then they employ a far inferior coach. I think Lee's on fence as to how Ruben Sayers went.
I think Phil Jones undoubtedly will be a better coach than Ruben Sayers.
Absolutely right. Allegedly without an interview, who I wouldn't trust to put the cones out for an under-10s team. Not impressed with the owners so far. We spoke about that quite a lot on the transfer tracker this week, so enjoyed that. Aid says, we played direct under Farker and stayed up, even though it isn't Leeds' DNA or his own coaching philosophy. So yeah, adapted to the style. He switched to a back three, did Farker, and did what he needed to do to stay in the division. And they thrived under it, really, even though it might not have been the football that they wanted to play.
That's what you've got to do. Sorry, you've got to do that. You can't go up and go toe to toe company style. You just can't.
Greets says, damn his door. Steve Warnock, quite the character. I liked Sheffield United during that period. Steve Warnock, behave yourself. Neil, oops, he says. Nate says it's a situation based on opponent and based on squad fit, based as well as how a game is going to the type of football you play. You need to be fluid to be able to change what's needed at the right time. That is one thing I was slightly critical about, was we were rigid last season with the 4-2-3-1, and we sometimes went to the 4-4-2, and I don't think it necessarily played to the squad's strengths. So Nate's right. I always believe that you should be able to adapt to what you've got in your squad. I understand him wanting to play 4 at the back, so bring in players that will suit that system more.
Please don't bring the 3-5-2 back up. I can't.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But the squad that we had at the time he came back was best suited to that.
We played it and we were awful.
Oh, I'm not having this conversation with you, Dave. I'm not. I refuse. You can't judge 45 minutes with no training on a formation being dogger.
You can make anything fit your opinion if you want to.
Correct, like you've just proven. Just want to say, Jim, watched your most recent stream on the other side, and as someone who has spent my entire adult life in the sports and fitness industry, the biggest benefit is mental health. Thank you, my mate. Plain bacon sarnie on plain white bread, a bit of butter and some HP sauce. That's what he has with his cuppa. That's Alan Knill. I thought we were making a similar point to my fitness journey, but he wasn't. It was actually he was actually talking about what Alan Knill does on a morning when he goes into training. But thank you, Ed. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. And yeah, I feel much better for my physical exercise. It's really helped my mental health. I just want to say thank you to Phil Oakley, who's come in with a £10 super chat. Thank you, my mate. He has given us a comment here as well, saying, "Evening, boys. I want Wilder to be bolder with his strategy. I want to be entertained." Are you not entertained? If a new coach brings that, then let's welcome the change. The last 2 seasons have been a hard watch up the Ramble. Thank you, Phil. That's very kind of you. Let's spend a bit of time on what Phil said then. Would you rather see style over substance, or would you rather see 1-0ers for the majority of the season, lads? If I offered you more guaranteed wins, what would you go for?
I want to win.
You say that, and I think that's ultimately what has to win the debate. But we know during that 92-point season, we were not entertained.
Nope. But we got more points.
We did, and we're still in the championship.
So, I want to win.
Paul?
Yeah, I want to see successful football. But I would like to see a team with a touch more
flair,
a bit more adaptability and a bit more pace. I've been banging on about that for ages. A bit of pace, yeah. I want to see us run a few teams ragged on the transition, and improve the physical output and the power of our team. Because I think if we're ever going to get,
you want to see pride?
No, power, physical power. We spoke about it.
Thanks, Dave. Dave got it. I see a badass mother.
I want to see us with a team that could go to the Premier League and keep 4 or 5 of a minute, because I think we're lacking power.
Kiss my lucky egg. Dammy Store says willy nilly.
No.
You can tell we're getting to end at comments now, can't you? That's David Brent. That Scott says, "Did I? I will not have her tunnel banded around this office. Willy nilly. Did I say I wanted Monty? I said I saw it on Twitter. Apologies for adding to a conversation. Oh my word. A little bit of a bite back there from Scott. Apologies. I must have misinterpreted your comment. Matty says the decision on Knill should not have been leaked. The fact it has causes me concern that someone has a grievance against either COH or Wilder. I can understand the concerns, but why can it not be both successful and entertaining football? It says Macaras, who I will fondly call Maracas, because I think it's a more fun way to say it.
We don't know the leak came out of the club either. Knilly might have known about it. He might have told somebody.
Might have got hammered. Yeah, and then
he might have moved house. There's all sorts, isn't there? There's hundreds of ways it can get leaked if someone's leaving. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would also like, just to add to that, Maracas, I would also like successful and entertaining football.
That's
Everybody
what we all
does.
want. That's the dream.
Everybody does. That's the dream.
Yeah.
Lads, that is us at the no. Nath's just coming in with a last minute comment. He says the club does live up to its own club ethos last season in the outrun, outfight, outplay. You can't outplay if the club just didn't, he must have meant. You can't outplay if you don't outrun and outfight your opponent, no matter what level you are at. Very true, my mate. Very, very wise words said. Lads, anything you'd like to say before I let you go? Dave the Nose?
No.
Man Mountain?
Come on, the Three Lions.
Yes.
Let's get behind our England. Let's let our delusion pass on to them, and let's fingers crossed that Harry Kane turns up, because if he does,
mate, when you
never know. You never know.
So I am live on the Jimmy Smith channel, which sounds a bit cringe actually to say out loud, but we are live on our other channel tomorrow night for the England Costa Rica friendly. I think it's tomorrow night, isn't it? Then Gaz Dunn is live doing the first game of the World Cup the following evening. So the World Cup kicks off. We're doing all the coverage of all the biggest games over there. If you're not already, please go and join us on that one. We'll be back on here talking Sheffield United, because I've already recorded a video about Kyle Walker and Nathan Patterson. So for now, come on, you red and white wizards.
This is Patterson.